Welcome to the running journey. Welcome to the running journey.
Welcome to the running journey.
Welcome
to the running journey. Running journey, yeah. Welcome to The Running Journey, a transformative podcast telling the story of two brothers faced with a very tough time in their lives that decided to do something about it, get healthy, get fit, and start jogging. The Running Journey will take you through half marathons, Ironmans, ultra marathons, and their attempt at qualifying for the Boston Marathon.
Don't forget 5Ks. Sorry.
We're certainly not going to forget 5Ks, Charlie. This is The Running Journey. Listen to us while you run.
That's a great idea.
Okay, I think we have our intro. All right, guys, welcome. I'm Rob. This is my brother, Charlie. We're here live from Winnipeg talking to you about our running journey. Great to be here. I'm pumped. I just finished an Ironman. You just finished a half Ironman. Lots to chat about here. Where do you want to start?
Up to you. What do you think?
Okay. How did your half Ironman go? You did a half Ironman a week and a half ago, right?
It went, it was 13 days ago. Yeah. So
we'll call it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. It
So
went fairly well, I would say. Yeah.
It's the only half Ironman in Manitoba. And they don't even call it a half Ironman. They call it like long course triathlon.
Long course, which I think is the real name. I think, I guess it's the non-brand name.
Yeah.
So
To be fair, I don't think the sport existed before Ironman did it, right? I think triathlon.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not. Probably not.
We could find that out. But I feel like Ironman created that distance and then created the other distance. And it's kind of like playing table tennis instead of ping pong, right?
Yeah.
So it was in Hecla, same course I did my triathlon last year. I had a fun time on that course. Yeah. How did it go?
It went fairly well, I think. So I think I did really well in the swim, even though it was slightly above 2 minutes per 100 meters. I came out of the water 12th. I was ahead of a lot of guys that I was behind in the Olympic one. So I think maybe the distance was a bit long.
How many total participants?
43. Okay. So not too many, but
still first quartile-ish, right? Or almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was 12th out of the water. But like relative to the top guys, I wasn't too far behind in terms of time, right? Dawn, the pro swimmer, she mentioned that maybe the course is a bit longer than it was the previous year.
Okay.
Because she did like 3 minutes slower. So I feel like I did really well. Yeah. And
she would know because she runs a million of these distances.
She wouldn't be off by 3 minutes on a course. So yeah, so it went well. Transit T1 went pretty well. Like I always, panic with trying to get the wetsuit off and stuff, but relatively well. Bike, long story, but I forgot all my water bottles the day before on my bike. So I had a bit of a drama queen incident where I was trying to figure out what to do with my get water bottles for the. So anyways, what I ended up doing is I just showed up early and borrowed a bunch of water bottles from people, or two water bottles from people. Put my nutrition.
But do they have it on the course or they don't? I forget.
Yeah, they have one. But the problem was I had my plan with my bladder, right? No, with the bladder where I can just, drink from the straw as I'm biking. So now I didn't have that, right? I didn't have that part of it either.
Did you have the bladder at all?
No, I didn't have that part at all. So I had to kind of change my strategy around what I was going to do on the bike for nutrition and hydration. So I just put a regular water bottle in where the bladder was. And I could hear when I was hitting bumps, I could see it spray out.
But you have two in the back, don't you?
I took those two off because I figured for half Ironman, you only need like 2 bottles. Like it's not a big deal. Because I figured it probably slows you down a little bit to have those 2 in the back if you don't need them. So I only had 2 water bottles. So I figured it out. So I borrowed 2, kind of planned. I'm not like I as far as drinking on the go on the bike, I'm still not that great. So I kind of like planned my drinking stops to coincide where I knew I had to slow down. So there was 3 different places where there's a turnaround, and the turnaround was like 8 feet wide. Like there was like 0 room to turn around. So I basically had to slow down to like 0 for those spots.
Is it, remind me, is it like, because they keep one lane open for the highway and you're turning
No,
around?
it was, the highway was open. It was
Okay.
completely open, but there was a sign that said race in progress. So if people were driving, they had to be careful.
So the turnaround was happening on a highway that was open.
Yeah, exactly. But there was people there like protecting the turnaround, right? So
right. So you would have had like 1 lane at the most to turn around, 1 car.
No, I had both lanes, but it was narrow. It was like in a spot where like it was in a spot in the highway where the shoulders had like completely deteriorated, and it just ended up that 45K spot was like a narrow spot. Anyways, so did it, no problem. And then I picked up 1 bottle halfway, just of water halfway, because I wasn't worried about my nutrition. I was more worried about my hydration. So I picked up a bottle halfway, kind of just downed it as soon as I got it, and then kept going. But I did like really well. So 2 hours 32, which is just under 36 kilometers an hour.
That's really good.
Yeah, not bad.
I don't think it's not bad. I think it's really good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm getting better. I was kind of in my dreams hoping I could do under 230. I kind of tailed off a little bit at the end.
I don't even know how you would like plan for that. How would you set that as a goal? How would you know that you would do that? I guess you've done enough outside.
Well, so I knew that if I hit, so my goal was to hit 250 watts. Sorry, 250. To hit 250 watts. And I think that was like my minimum goal. And I knew if I felt good that I could push it to like 270. I knew that at 270, I could average over 36 kilometers an hour.
Okay.
So I knew that. So I knew at 270 I was going to hit. So I only hit 257. So I know I told you 249, but it was actually 257 was my average throughout. So I was just under what I needed to do. Like I was probably about 13 watts short of being able to do but I knew that I knew that it'd be under 235 if I hit 250. So that was kind of that was my main goal. Is 235 was actually my main goal, but my stretch goal was 230. And halfway point, I did the first half in an hour 15. So I was on track in the first half, and then I slowed down a little bit.
I don't even have a way to measure my watts when I'm outside. I should probably get something.
Yeah, power meter. I mean, it was like $300, and I guess so. When I started, Patrick told me it was obligatory to have one.
I guess he told me the same thing. I don't know what happened because I went to the store when I bought my bike the week after. Patrick said, "Get a power meter and get a computer and get all that." And I walked in and I said, "Sell me." I showed him what I needed, what Patrick had told me. And they sold me something for $500. I think I paid, which I think is
the trainer, right? The trainer.
No. Trainer was $1,000.
Okay.
Or 800 or something. And this was a separate visit. I went back and I needed a computer for my bike, like a Wahoo or whatever. Yeah. And she talked me. She upsold me into this one that was really good and blah blah blah. Okay, great. Took it home. Actually, they set it up for me, and I took it home. And I'm like, it doesn't even tell me my power.
Yeah. Oh.
It's just. It's cadence. I only get cadence,
but
and
maybe you just need to sync it.
I think I just need the add-on for the power, right? I think.
But so do you have a power pedal?
I don't have a power pedal.
Okay, so usually the power meter's on the pedal.
Okay, maybe they were out of it that day, and he told me to come back. I don't remember, but I'm kind of baffled that I don't have that.
Yeah,
I don't know how that happened. I gotta get that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, so that went awesome. Average cadence 100. So was able to maintain my 100 cadence throughout the entire. That's even with the slowdowns and everything.
You cadence at 100.
Average was 100 for the entire thing, for 2.5 hours. average heart rate was 155. Or yeah, it feels that it was mostly higher. I guess the second half it was like above 155. It was close to one. It was between 155 and 160.
Holy shit.
First half was between 150 and 155. But I feel like that it doesn't. I feel like my heart rate's maybe higher because my cadence is so higher, but it saves my legs, I think. Anyways.
No, for sure. I'm saying holy shit to the fact that you had 100 cadence, which obviously would lead to a 150 heart rate. But I mean, that just like that blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And then another good transition, T1, pretty good transition. Anyways, like not like pro level. Like
T2,
I think I need, I need to learn how to get my shoes off while I'm riding at the end. Cause that I think that's an easy save. Like that can't be that hard. Just get your shoes off before you're off the bike, you know?
Yeah. I took them off at my Ironman, like kind of as I was getting off the bike. Not naturally. I don't even know what happened.
Like you unclipped before you got off.
I unclipped before, and then because I want to take my shoes off for the run because it was a long transition.
Yeah.
So I was like, I might as well unclip them now.
You did it without practicing. You just did it.
Well, yeah. Well, you just reached down. I unclipped them both, and then anyways, I'll tell you that story later. But I ended up wiping out.
Oh, I see. But I need to learn to do that because I think that's easy. Like that's not that hard to do. It can't be that hard. Putting them on to me, like I looked at all the guys that were ahead of me on the bike, and they all did the bikes were all like they all clipped in after they started. To me, that seems like I know that could be a time saver, but
you mean
they pre-clip their shoes to the bike.
The shoes are on the bike before they
with the elastic, the elastic so it doesn't drop. And then once they start riding their bike, then they actually put their feet into their shoes and clip them on. Like to me, that would be almost slow you more down than just running with the shoes. You know what I mean? Yeah. And sorry, I guess you got to put them on in transition. So it saves you the time of putting them on in transition and having to run with them in transition. But it costs you the time of trying to get into those shoes. To me, would seem pretty hard while you're riding. But
yeah,
the getting off to me seems easy that I need to learn. But the getting on, but I saw the 3 or 4 guys that were ahead of me, or sorry, I guess there was more than. There's like 8 guys ahead of me, and they all did it.
It seems like marginal.
But I passed them all while they were putting on their shoes. So I don't know. Maybe it's.
It seems like marginal time savings for a potential risk.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so anyways, you're not that proud of your 2.5. I think that's an unbelievable time. I think that's really. Yeah,
no, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. Yeah, no, I'm super happy with it. But I think I'm not at the ceiling yet, in other words. Well, I guess no one is ever, right? So I think I can do better is what I'm saying. Like I will do better.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then my run was hard. I for some reason I'm not a great runner anymore. But I think it's slowly coming back. I just need to kind of,
why do you say that?
Well, I'm just slower than I was last year, right? At this time.
Do you think it's injury? Do you think it's fatigue? Do you think it's?
I think it's mostly injury and lack of training. So I was injured, and then because of that, I wasn't training as much. And also I think it's just this time of year is harder too because of the heat. But I think it's slowly coming back. So sorry, I'm not slower than I was last year. I'm slower than when I was right before their marathon. Okay. Right. Like in October, September last year, I'm slower than I was then, but I'm faster than I was last July. So year to year, I'm slightly faster, but I was hoping I'd be kind of at the level I was right before that marathon a little bit, but anyways, but our triathlon is a different story, right? So because you're coming.
Remember the training though that we were doing for that marathon? Remember the training?
We were doing so much run training that's that. So
and you do the heavy intervals. You were doing hills. Like it's just a different animal, right?
Yeah, exactly. So for this run, I started off as a goal of wanting to do it in 140, but then I knew I was a couple minutes.
Pause. When you started the race or the day before?
The day before.
The day before, you kind of said 2:30.
My plan was to break 5 hours, and that included a 140 run. So, but I knew I was like 2 or 3 minutes ahead after the bike. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind where I was like, okay, I got a couple extra minutes for the run. So I kind of played it conservative. The run was super fun, but also super hard. There's a bit of uphill. It was 4.5 loops, some uphills, some downhill.
I've done that one. Yeah. I did the exact
run. Yeah. So I started off on close to that 140 pace for about, I don't know, probably 2-3 miles. And then I realized it may be a little too hard for me. So I just said, okay, well, I'll make sure I get my under 5 hours. And that was kind of the goal. But so then what happened was I could see, so I was in 3rd place overall in the men. Well, I was actually 3rd place overall. And then, so I could see it was a girl in 4th, the same girl that's really good at swimming. She was right behind me and I could see her catching up. And then after about like at mile 7 or 8, she just blew by me. But I could see the guys. So then I was the third male, and it was 4.5 loops. So every loop you could see
who's ahead of you by how much. You could
see if they were gaining or if I was gaining, and it was like pretty much dead even. Like it was always the gap.
How far ahead were they of you?
I was ahead of them by like.
No, you were in 3rd. You said so they were ahead of you. 1
or
2.
The first that I were way ahead. So I wasn't even.
You're talking about the guys behind you.
Behind me, I was just wanting to stay. I wanted to stay ahead of the guy in 4th.
Got it. And it's a half Ironman, so it's 13 miles. So
yeah. So yeah, that's the other thing. I hadn't run a longer distance like that in a while, so it seemed like a long. I was like, after the first kilometer, I was like, okay, just another 20 of these. Like, I mean, I know it's just like. I know a half marathon's easy, or it feels like it, but I hadn't done one in a while, so it was and at a higher pace, right? So
well, after 3 hours of 155 heart rate, like I could see why it would be hard, right? After pushing yourself to max exertion on the bike, I could see why it'd be hard.
Yeah. So it was fun because that guy, I kept every loop I would see like how far.
Yeah, you get to the cone, you check your watch.
So twice a loop I would see him, right? Because the loop was 2 ways. Yeah. So I'd see him like 8 times. I saw him like 8 times, and I'd check my distance every time.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, I'm 27. He's 27 seconds behind me, so double that because he's got to run it back. So I'm 50.
We were pretty much even. He must have had a bathroom break at some point. I was relieved because all of a sudden, like I was a minute more ahead.
Okay, you were like, what, a minute ahead of him, 2 minutes ahead of him?
I was like 30 seconds ahead of him at first. Okay. Actually, I passed him in like the last 10 kilometers of the bike. And then I saw him come into transition as I was kind of running out to the run. So I knew it was close. Anyways, it was so much fun. The racing aspect was so much fun. And then I finished at just over 4:58. And that was
so great. What would your run have been?
1:43.5. That's
a good time.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. So that was average heart rate about 163. It's hard to push yourself. I feel like I could have pushed maybe a little bit more, but yeah, it was more my legs actually. The problem was not my heart. It was my legs just got tired at the end. Yeah,
I think it's like you get there and you're going, and you're going as hard as you possibly can. And you keep saying to yourself, could I be pushing harder right now? Could I be going harder? And it's like, you want to believe that you can, but sometimes you can't. That's what I find.
Yeah. And after you're like, oh, I could have pushed harder.
I should have pushed harder. I could have pushed harder. Left too much in the tank. Too much in the tank. That was stupid. I could have, that's stupid. And yet while you're doing it, it's like hard.
But it's a balancing act. Like when you're doing it, because you got to conserve, especially if you're experienced like we are, right? You can't go too hard. Like that's the biggest mistake you can do, right? So
yeah, I think that like I think I'm beyond that. Like the problem of like, I think I know myself enough now that I don't know if that's possible
to go too hard
for like a marathon or for like a
you
half.
mean you're not going to blow up?
I'm not going to blow myself up. I was worried about it on Sunday.
But I think though sometimes you like, but then that means you have another problem, like because you should be on that edge, right? Shouldn't you?
I think I was on the edge, but I guess I'm too conservative. Maybe.
Yeah, me too. I think because of all this extra racing that I like, this innate sense that you have where you just don't want to be past a certain point, right? Like that experience that you get after a while where okay, I'm past that. You've seen those beginners that they don't know where that point is. Like we kind of clearly know where that point is and we stay below it, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we're too conservative now that we've had all this experience.
Yeah. I think that's probably the problem. I mean, it is an Ironman, so it is like 11, 12 hours.
Well, me, it was only a half Ironman. So
I know. Yeah, right. But it's still like for us to be saying, we were too conservative for like a 5-hour race. For someone who's listening to this, they might seem like, shut up, guys. Like, shut up. You went to 155 heart rate. You did a 143 half marathon. Like,
no,
you didn't like.
But you're always looking for a little.
Yeah, well, because every minute, like it's so hard to shave minutes. It's so hard. So if you're thinking, you know what, if I would have gone 1% harder on the bike, that's 4 minutes, I could have trimmed, right? 1% harder on the. Anyways, that's kind of how you start thinking. You're trying to find minutes here and there, and it's hard to find minutes when you're going.
It's hard,
pretty much full speed, right?
Yeah, true that.
So that ended up giving you a podium for the longest, and that's the provincial championship for long course.
Yep.
So you're the third best half Ironmaner in Manitoba.
Well, that competed in that.
But still, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I feel good about it.
So what's next then for you? I guess it's Hecla. Sorry, not Hecla. It's Riding Mountain.
Yeah, Riding Mountain in 3 weeks. That's where I had my first triathlon, so it'll be fun to see how much I can improve on it.
Are you doing any of these 5Ks or 10Ks every weekend or whatever that the Manitoba calendar? Or I don't know. Have they started yet? Like or is that more in September where there's kind of a race every weekend?
Oh, I'm sure there's a race every weekend. But I mean, no, I'm gonna wait till September. So I don't know what my coach thinks about this, but I like kind of ramping up from like for a marathon, kind of doing a 5K, getting some speed in right early on, doing a 5K, then translating that speed into a 10K.
You're talking how many weeks before? Like 6
weeks? Over the 2-3 months before my marathon, right? So I'm going to do a 5K in there, 10K, and then a half marathon.
Yeah.
And that's just to kind of build up the speed a little bit first, and then the endurance will come, for the marathon. So that's my plan and then August is just another triathlon. She'll be fun.
Yeah, that's mid-August sometime, right?
Yeah.
That's about 3 weeks away, probably.
Yeah.
3 weeks away, you got a triathlon. Then you got some races in September, and then we got November, we got New York.
Yeah. I'm actually really looking forward to the half marathon in October too. That's always a fun one.
The Winnipeg Police Service.
Because it's a really nice. It's kind of like a nice course. It's always nice and cool.
Yeah, we're lucky with our courses here in Manitoba. How flat they are.
Yeah. It's going to be a fast one, I think. So yeah.
Oh,
how about you? So Ironman, I was following here. Exciting to follow that as you went through it. Why don't you start talking about? So where was it?
It was in Lake Placid, New York. So I'd never been. I brought my dad with me, just one person, one support crew. My dad came with me. We flew to Montreal, which is pretty neat. It's a great schedule. And
it's really close it's actually way closer to Montreal.
It's 2 hours. It was a 2-hour drive from the airport. And because the airport in Montreal is kind of on
you basically landed right there almost, but in Montreal.
Yeah. Well, like when we went to Houston, Dallas, we had like an hour drive from the airport, right? And we were in Houston, you're in the city. So this was like, you're right outside Montreal. You don't see the downtown Montreal because the airport's on the west side. So you end up just kind of exiting the city and you're on the highway, and then you're in the Adirondacks, the Adirondack Mountains, and then you're in Lake Placid. It was like quick drive. So that is probably the easiest Ironman for us to get to, believe it or not. Like, it's probably the easiest Ironman to get to.
Is there not anyone? Is there not? No, there's one in Montreal, isn't there?
Oh yeah, Mont-Tremblant. Sorry, yeah, it's a couple.
But that's probably be the same though.
It'd be similar, yeah. And I guess you could argue Penticton arguably easier to get to. I don't know. I'm making a statement. I hadn't thought it through. I just.
The Des Moines would be another one that's pretty.
You got to drive.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I guess drive
12 hours, 11 hours. Yeah. What's easier? Debatable. What's easier?
Yeah.
Like, we left. I was
like carrying a bike is easier almost to drive.
Yeah, first time I flew with my bike, and I bought like this.
How did that go?
It was awesome. Okay. I love it, and
So you'll bring it to France?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to be a spoiler here.
Yeah, no, I qualified for the World Championships. So I bought this Thule case, Thule. It's like I don't know, they sell them on Amazon for like $800. They're really good because the mechanic that I ended up hiring to help me in Lake Placid was like, this is the best transportation setup I've ever seen. He said, I mean, he's a bike mechanic for Ironman, and he does this. This is what he does. And he's like, they're way better than they were in the past. And because it clips in, it's secure. There's a whole bunch of layers of protection. Like, the bike is not moving.
Sorry, so you bought a box and you check that box in? Is that how it works? Or
it's a bike carrying case, and yeah,
you take the wheels off. What do you got to do?
Yeah, the wheels, the handlebars, the seat,
Oh yeah, and you did all that?
I did some of it. Marco and Diggs helped me out, but I know how to do it now. The first time,
it can't be that hard. I mean, whatever.
No, you just
need the key
which I have, and it's like, you could probably do it in 5 minutes. This morning, actually, I undid the box.
You should bring it to France, though, for your family trip, though.
I'm debating, actually. Because
except the only problem is you'll need to figure out routes to take.
Well, and I need to buy a bike carrying mechanism of some sort, and it's not going to fit in our luggage. So no, I can't bring it. I can't bring it to France, but it would be neat. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do for that. But the transportation setup, I was really worried about it. You book it with Air Canada, and you get there, and like oversized luggage, they check it, they went through. And because it's direct, I was a little less worried. Usually you lose luggage kind of when you have connections.
Yeah.
I had no connection. So I got there, the bike was there. I was like, oh, awesome. Opened it. It was all intact. Went to Lake Placid. And okay, so I think I've said this before, but because I registered so late for this race, the race was sold out. The only way I could register was by taking the athlete experience package. It's called Nirvana Athlete Experience Package.
Yeah.
I didn't have a choice, but I was like, whatever. I believe it's $300 $250. Extra. Yeah. So I paid for that, and I was like, whatever. I don't have a choice. To me, it was just like a more expensive race. I wasn't thinking that it was going to be that much value. I didn't think. To me, it was just more.
Did you get a tune-up when you get there? Or?
Well, tune-up, like they take. I didn't touch my bike. Like, they took care of everything. So I showed up with my box, and I told the guy, "Hey, welcome, Rob. Oh, great to see you. We've been waiting for you."
So you're gonna register VIP now for every race, or what?
I did it for Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's for me.
You're already registered for Nice?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice Nice.
Nice. So like, you show up, I showed up. Oh, Rob, Mr. Tetrault, great to have you here. And they have like a special tent and a special. So there's a lot of stuff that's not valuable in the VIP package, but there are things that are very valuable for me because I don't know that much about it. So I showed up with my bike. If you're traveling with a bike, to me, it's worth it. I dropped it off, and the guy's like, well, I'm busy. Maybe you can come back later and I'll put it together. I said, sure, no problem. So I walked around, and when I came back, the bike was put together. Like, Claude and I walked around. We checked out the booths. We checked out the stuff. When I came back, it was there. And then I had a person that I could text 24 hours a day that, if I needed any questions about Ironman or whatever, restaurants or whatever, you had like your own valet.
Need another water bottle holder?
Need another water bottle holder. Yeah. I actually bought one and the guy put it on for me. And then,
you put an extra water bottle on your back?
I put a double on the back. Yeah.
Straight back?
Like a double on my seat.
Oh, you put 2 on your seat.
Like 1 bolt double bottle.
Yeah. That's the best. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
for an Ironman, I think it's worth it. Yeah.
Well, my strategy was like 10. My nutrition plan was 10 scoops of scratch times 2. So
20. Okay. Yeah.
So 220, 440 grams of carbs through my scratch. And then I would top up with other stuff. That was my plan. And so I needed 2 bottles of scratch to just have with me that I could dilute into my water. Right.
Yeah.
So I needed to put those.
And it wasn't bad. I told you, it's easy to get those ones in the back. Eh?
It was the easiest thing ever. I'm zero concerns about that now. At first I was very worried about it, but like,
it's easy.
I didn't even practice once. I put it on there and I forgot that I hadn't practiced. So it's like race morning. And I was like, hopefully I can figure this out. So like the other thing with the VIP package that I liked is we did a walkthrough of the course. So you know how at the smaller,
like of transition and stuff? Or?
Yeah. So swim, peelers will be here. This is where you're going to run.
That would have helped me in Texas.
Oh my God. I wish I
did a wrong turn.
Remember, we're like, okay, you're going to come here. You're going to, and like, it's like, you don't really know where you're going. And so
it's nice to have that, like, the memory of it in your head. Yeah.
There were 31 athletes that had paid for the VIP package or whatever. So there was 31 of us with this group. They had 3 staff working for us. So like the guy did the tour and then like he actually coached us a little bit around the buoys and talked a lot about the swim and then walked down. Okay, here's where the peelers will be. They're going to take, here's where, okay, you're going to walk down here and then go, and then your bag's going to be here. And so I did all that. So that was a value, definitely a value to me. Then the other thing that was a value for the VIP package was the morning of, you don't even have to go to your bike because he checks the pressure tire. You make sure.
When did you put your nutrition on it?
I ended up going the morning of, but I didn't
to put your nutrition on.
Just to put my nutrition on. And then I just kind of saw the guy there and he was checking all the bikes. I'm like, am I good? He's like, you're good, man. Rob, you're good, man. You're awesome. And I was like, okay, right on. So he washed it for me. He put, he did a tune up. It felt like a brand new bike when I got on it. I was like, oh, this feels cool. So I don't know what you pay for a bike tune up. I don't know. Is it $50, $100? I don't even know.
I know. I got to book one right now.
But I got one. Like it felt like a new bike.
I don't know how long these tires are supposed to last because now I'm putting a lot of kilometers on them.
I
bet you I have like 2,000 kilometers on these things. I don't know.
He told me, he's like, you need a new tire on the back here. So I was like, okay, so I just went down, bought a tire, brought it back. And
so you did actually.
Yeah.
So I've got one, my back tire is new because when I had my flat, it like completely broke, but my front one doesn't matter too much. I don't think.
Yeah. I think he said your front one, like back when you should replace, I don't want you to get flat. So, and he's got no skin in the game because I'm not buying a tire from him. Right. So he did that for me. I felt so at ease knowing that was taken care of because I didn't have Dwayne there, right? Dwayne, our buddy from Houston, took care of all that for us. So that was neat. So then race morning, Claude and I were 5-minute walk from the start line. So all I really had to do was go drop off my nutrition. So I woke up at
Did you do your warm-up swim?
No.
Kidding.
No, that's a non-issue.
So my last 2 triathlons, I've been doing a warm-up swim and I really think it helps me, but it's shorter distances.
When do you do it?
Like
at 5:30 or whatever?
10 minutes, 20 minutes before, just to kind of get some calmness, feeling the water type thing. That's all it is for. Get a pee in, obviously.
Yeah. So to avoid the kind of first 10-minute stress.
Yeah. To be more calm at the start, basically. That's what it's been. I feel like it's helped the last 2 immensely, but
yeah, I could totally see that. I could totally see how it would be helpful. It's, so, I mean, the transition closed at 6, right? So then so I got up at, I want to say 5:30, something like that. and I just walked down, put my nutrition on, and then I went to the starting line with Claude, and it was like,
so you're just waiting. You just had to wait for a while.
Yeah, it was like 5:40 or whatever, 5:45, and the pros were in the water at 6:25.
Oh, so you still had like an hour to wait?
Yeah, and I know I was early, and I probably whatever. The transition closed at 6. I could have gone and put my nutrition the night before, but I wanted my scratch to be cold.
Yeah. No, you want your scratch to be cold.
So you sacrifice.
Did you put any ice in there?
No, idiot. I should have. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't.
Well, you're mixing it with your water anyways, right? So it's no big deal. I don't mind it if it's not super cold either, but whatever.
Yeah. So we were staying at a hotel, so it was a little bit of like oatmeal just to figure out my morning breakfast. Like it was a little complicated.
Usually we go groceries the night before.
Yeah, so I went grocery shopping, and I had my bananas, and I had my oatmeal, and I had like a ton of veggies that I ate the 2 days before. Yeah. But like the morning of, I was like, okay, I want to prepare my oatmeal. I prepared it because given how I got up at 3:30 is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, of course. That's just how it goes, so right?
I prepped my 5 things of oatmeal. I think I did 4. And then I set my alarm for 3:30. I turned over, gobbled it, and just went right back to bed.
I don't know how you can do that.
Really? Do you think I'm the only one who does that?
No. I can't. Once I'm up. I mean, actually, like if I can sleep.
The key is not getting up. The key is not waking up.
If I can sleep 5 hours or 4 hours before a big race like that, I'm super happy.
Dude, I was in bed at 9:00 and I fell asleep at 9:15. It was unreal.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I did get some decent sleep actually before Hecla. Actually, probably the best sleep because I think it was like a no big deal for me that one. I was not super stressed about it. So yeah,
this is the best I've ever slept, and I did all my stuff. We went out for dinner. I had my triple meal. I came back, and I was like, okay, I'm done. Claude's like, hey, are you done? What's left to do? And I was like, just my bags, like gear bag and bike bag, which I'd already kind of prepped.
Oh yeah. What was your kit like what did you do? Did you do the single tri-suit and the whole way?
Yeah, I'll get to it in a sec. But like I ended up like
that simplifies things anyways, if you do that.
It did. I'll tell you what I did, but I was like, it's 7:30. I was in my room and I was like, what do I have left to do? Because you're always making the list because you don't want to miss things. I was like, I just have to prep my bike gear bag and my run gear bag, lay out the clothes I'm going to wear, and I'm done. I can just go to bed. And I'd already prepped so I put it together, and I was like, I'm done. It's 8:00. And then I was like, my legs. I got to shave my legs.
Shit. Oh yeah, you didn't need to shave. You don't need to.
Well, the guy I met a guy, Hans, beauty guy, the night before.
But did you see my text? Shave your legs.
I did. And I was like, so I went and I bought, when I did my groceries, I bought shaving cream because I couldn't bring it in my carry-on.
Yeah.
And then
you need to go electric shaver first and then shaving cream.
That's what he told me. That's what Hans told me. He's like, just clip. He's like, I would just clip if I were you. And I was telling him how I wanted to qualify for Worlds. Like I desperately want to qualify for Worlds. And he's like, well, obviously you're going to shave your legs, right? And he looked at me like not like you would, like, but he was like dead serious. Oh, you got to shave your legs tonight, like. And I was like, I didn't know any. Like he was acting. So then my dad's like, "Are you gonna shave your legs?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess I have to." Yeah. So
that guy told you, and I had sent you a text before.
I know. I didn't. Yeah. Anyways, it feels awesome shaving your legs. It's
I probably got the podium because I shaved my legs actually.
Yeah.
Because I only beat the guy by like a minute. So.
Yeah, and it's 6 minutes on an Ironman, so it's 3 minutes on a half.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
what Hans told me.
I'd say it's at least a minute and a half for sure.
Hans told me, he looked at my hair and he said, this guy's a podium finisher. Okay. And he's like, that's 5-6 minutes for you. You need to.
Really?
That's what he said. And then he looked at my arms and he's
that's like, an easy 5 minutes. That's the easiest 5 minutes you'll ever get.
That's what he said. Maybe he doesn't know, but that's what he said. Yeah. And so then I'm like, Kiki, got to go shave my legs. Well, it took me an hour to shave my legs, a full hour to shave my legs. And then it was
You didn't have the clipper though.
No, I didn't have the clipper. So it was like.
Because it was actually so much easier than I thought it would be.
I know. I got to get the clipper. So then I'm in bed by 9. I got up pretty good and then the swim. But what I wanted to tell you about the kit is I decided I would do tri-suit, wetsuit, and I was going to see how I felt, I guess. But basically I had my red shorts and my Run with Rob shirt in my bag. And what I thought about is I get so many words of encouragement from when I'm wearing my Run with Rob shirt, because it's a clear Canadian, it's got a red maple leaf. Yeah. And so it's kind of fun to get people to say like, congrats, go Canada.
Plus
go
the pictures, and stuff.
Plus the pictures. So I decided to plus I'm way more comfortable in my favorite running shorts than I am in my tri-suit. So I decided to change out of my tri-suit into my shorts and shirt. And it took me like 14 seconds. Like it was so quick. It was just really quick. So I'm glad that I did that, because like I get why people want to do the tri-suit, but for me, 14 seconds, I'm sure I gained that with my.
How did you change from your tri-suit to your shorts in 14 seconds? Like, don't you have take the whole thing off and then?
But it's one piece, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess.
So the zipper was down. It was off in like 2 seconds. And then I was just naked in the change room.
Yeah.
And then I just grabbed my shorts, put them on, put my shirt on. It's only 2 pieces, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, and I guess in ours, you can't, well, I guess you could do that. I guess
I don't know if you're supposed to be naked in the change rooms. Like, I don't know what the rules are for that, but no, I went.
But you could wear underwear under your tri-suit if that's your plan.
Yeah, I could have. I didn't know. But it was good. It was, I'm happy.
I don't know. I don't feel any different. So I'm like, I'll just go. It's so much simpler just to wear the tri-suit. So my preference is the tri-suit just because it's simpler and I don't really feel a difference in running. So
I'm trying to share my screen here.
But I could see why if there is any difference, then for sure you got to change, right?
Yeah. Window. Okay, it's this one here. I just want to show the rolling swim start. So this is a swim course. So it was a 2-loop course. So obviously you started here, there, back, there, back. I have a hard time believing it's this wide at the top, but I believe the map. I'm sure it's accurate. So the thing about this race, the thing that is different than all the other races, it's in Mirror Lake. And Mirror Lake is known for having like, it's crystal clear. You could see the bottom of the lake.
Oh, so it's like Clear Lake.
Except you see the cable at the bottom of the lake that connects the buoys. I swear to God. So people
wow. So that's, you could just fall. You don't even need to sight then.
So people told me about this the night before, 2 nights before. The guy talked about it. Like everyone
so that makes it easier.
Yes. And yes, definitely makes it easier if you were by yourself. Like if I was by myself.
Oh yeah.
I think I could probably do like an hour swim there. Like I swear to God, it was that fast because I was so fast on my third. What ended up happening is I was so worried about my shoulder that I seated myself at 125.
Yeah.
And right away I was like, that was stupid because now I'm.
Oh, you had to just swim over people. People are crashing into you. And stuff.
So what I did is
crooked swimmers.
And I could tell that people.
Wait. So back to the cable. So you can just keep your head and look at the cable and just follow the cable.
Yeah. And it's like, it's right in front. It felt to me like I could touch it. I know it's not accurate. I know they say it's like 5 feet or they say it's like 10 feet or something, but it looked like it was right in front of my eyes.
Oh God, that would be awesome. So no sighting.
I
hate sighting.
Mesmerizing. It was so like, I'll get to this in a sec. It was like, okay, let me get to this sec. So and then
you can just get in a zone too, right?
Yeah. So the first loop, so there's basically their back, right? The first way there were so many people. I was like, I got to take this wide. I just took it wide. And I was like, I'm not dealing with 1 million people. They're so slow. I got to be out here. So I just passed everyone on the way back, kind of same thing. Towards the end of the first loop, I hadn't seen the cable yet. All of a sudden, like someone said something like pros. So I kind of looked behind and the pros were coming on their second loop.
Oh no. So they're going to bulldoze you.
They're all one behind the other. They're all drifting or drafting.
Oh, drafting. Yeah.
And they're all one behind another, like 10 of them maybe. And they just they weren't stopping. Like they were just going full speed.
They were going to bulldoze you.
So I kind of just moved to the side and everyone kind of moved. And then once they went, there was kind of a parting of the sea. And I was like, I'll follow those guys. So for however long I can. And I went and then I saw the cable for the first time. I was like, are you kidding me? Right before the end of my my first loop. I was like,
how come you didn't see it on the first? You were just too far out of the way.
I was too far wide. You got to be, I'd say, there's maybe 3 swimmers that could see it. The one who's right over top and one on each side, maybe 2 on each side.
Oh, you can't see it if you're like 10 feet to the side?
No, it's got to be like probably 5-6 feet. Like it's because it kind of fades. I don't know why, but you don't see it if you're that far. So
okay.
So it's basically
I got to go at 2. So sorry, we might have to do this in 2
That's
episodes.
fine. That's fine. So it's so like that 5 foot, that 10 foot is so full. It's so packed. You can't get in. So it's good for sighting, but it's bad in that there's so many swimmers.
Everybody wants to do.
Everybody wants
to do the cable trick.
Had I seated myself properly, I would have probably had a much, 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 much better swim. But because I didn't, by the time I got to the end of the second loop, I had passed so many people.
So shoulder was no issue then?
Shoulder was no issue. And I think it's because of the wetsuit. It's so tight. As soon as I put the wetsuit on, I was like, wow, like it felt so tight.
Yeah.
I was kind of hesitant a little bit, but eventually I just went. I did my third quarter of the swim was like, I didn't head down all the way. And I did like, I think I averaged like 150s or something or one. Like
it went hard.
Just went hard. And then I ended up passing rookies that were doing their first loop. I was passing people. So like there was a clump of people that were slower. So the last quarter was slow, but I just felt like, I don't know how you feel about your swimming, but like for me, it's now to the point where I have zero concerns about the swim. Aside from the panic in the first 5-10 minutes, like I know I can swim a pretty good 115, and even that is not like max effort. And so I've come a long way.
I feel like I'm almost there. Like, I mean, I feel like I'm improving. I'm still improving lots, and the confidence every time you do one, there you get a bit more confidence in terms of like you're not going to drown. So yeah, I felt like the last one I was super calm the entire way, so it felt good.
Wouldn't you say that? And tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if you remember the first time you did a half, and it was so hard, and mind you,
a half marathon, you mean?
Yeah, half marathon.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that was so hard. I don't know if I can do it, and it's like a mental battle. And then you do 1, you do 2, you do 3. Like, I could do this. Then you do a marathon. The first one, you're like, I can't. This is impossible. Like you hit the wall.
Yeah.
And you do 2 and you do 3, and then the third one, you're like, I know that I can do this next time.
Yeah.
And then you do your first Ironman or your first every event that I've ever done that's kind of pushing the boundaries to what I can do. The first time I do it, I'm like, this is impossible. And then the third one I say is kind of where you're like, I can do this. And I know I'm feeling good. And I know that this distance is doable for me. And that's how I felt on Sunday. I felt like,
I think 3 is kind of that magic number where you start, that's when you start understanding what the event's about.
You've gone through it, the mental issues before, your body, right? You know how your body's going to feel. You know what to prepare.
So I still got to do 2 more Ironmans before I get there.
Yeah, but your second one is you're going to be like half of the way to like full appreciation and full I guess enjoyment or love for it. It's like
but I would say, so back to that though, I would say the swim though is like that, but like I'd say like on steroids, like that feeling of like learning and is way steeper, I feel, on swimming.
Right. So you're saying it's worth so much more to do a few swims. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that like the anxiety you have on a swim compared to a half marathon. Let's see.
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
I mean, so the amount that the anxiety reduces after doing 2 or 3 is incredible. The same thing with the half marathon, but I'd say like that effect is even more significant.
The impact of the stress is 3 times more or whatever. Like it's a legit like, oh, I might die here kind of feeling, right? Like that actually, whereby with that half or a marathon, you're like, this is not fun. I hate this. I'm going to a dark place. But you're never like, I might die and I don't want to do this. Like whereby the swim, you're going through all that. Yeah, the swim is for sure that on steroids. And now like that cable, the third, it was so mesmerizing watching that cable. It felt like it was right in front of my face. I could see like the thread and like I could see the algae and I could see like everything on it. And I just loved that third stretch. And I got off the swim and I was like, this is going to be a good day. I thought it was going to be a good day until I got on the bike. And then I saw and I had like Claude and I had gone and we toured the bike. We'd kind of, do you have availability after your meeting at 2?
I'm a little later at 3
like at 3:30. Okay,
3:30,
we'll go till 2 here, and then we'll finish after. We'll take a half hour or whatever. But like Claude and I had done. So are you the one who had suggested that we drive the bike course in Houston? I don't remember.
Well, I did, yeah, suggested, but Houston, I wasn't too concerned because it's just so flat, right?
What am I thinking of? Where you suggested we drive the course? Or maybe you told me to drive the course.
We joked about it. We joked about it at Texas of doing it. I remember, but I think like with a hilly course, I would have wanted to drive it. Like,
so I kind of on
that's some anxiety too. The 70K down the hill. That would be some anxiety for me as well.
That was I was so scared. The anxiety. I think Claude convinced me like the day before we did the bike and we were done. Like it was noon, or it was like 11 a.m. and we were done for the day. And he's like, let's go drive the course. And I was like, no, like it's 90 kilometers. Like what? It's going to take an hour and a half.
No, it's 2 loops though, right? It's
2 loops. Yeah. Still 90 kilometers, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So like it's an hour and change, an hour and a half maybe, because you're in the mountains. So it's slow and it's windy. And I was like, and he's like, why don't we just do a piece of it? Let's just do like the most hilly, let's do something. So he convinced me to do it. And then once we were driving it, I was like, oh shit, he's right. Like Claude is right. This is going to be valuable. And the next day, my God, thank God we did it. Cause I knew what to expect. I knew what to like.
You knew you had big hills coming up.
But I had
like, cause imagine if you don't know and you're on a 10, 15 mile uphill and you're like, oh God, this is going to last
when does this end? And I had looked at the course. So that's one thing to look at it on a piece of paper. Yeah, it's a whole other thing to drive it. And the bike can like the driving it can't do justice, right? Because when you're driving in a car, your car moves. You don't have to like.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Your car doesn't. Well, I mean, your car does feel the hill, but it's got such a powerful engine that you barely notice it.
And it's kind of like the way I divide. I wish I would like if I were to do this race again, I would do a lot better just because of well, obviously management.
Like pacing, you mean?
Well, because you get a break. Like the first 10 miles are uphill.
Yeah.
And then the next 10, you don't pedal. You don't pedal for 10 minutes. No pedal.
You don't pedal at all?
I basically didn't pedal for 10 minutes. So like that's a break.
Can't you pedal a little bit, like get a bit of free speed down the hill or no?
There was
how fast were you going? How fast were you going?
I averaged, I think.
Because Patrick told me if you're not going like 70 kilometers an hour, you should still be pedaling.
Yeah. So I think I averaged my 5K would have been 5K average is how they do it.
Well, I saw your heart rate though. You sent me that check. It was like 110. I'm like, what? Are you not pedaling?
I wasn't pedaling for that kilometer that I went 76. So I think for 5K, I averaged 65. So I guess.
And is that like how God, I remember going 60 at Riding Mountain, 60. That's not 70. And I didn't have nearly as much power back then. So I'm a little worried about Riding Mountain hitting some high speeds, but
yeah, well, the faster you like, sometimes I'd be like, okay, I'm fresh, I'm going to pedal. And I'd be at the top gear and like pedal.
But I feel like on those downhills, like maybe you don't have to pedal at full power, but like get the free, easy pedaling, like put it on
but it doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah, but put it on your top gear and just pedal slowly.
That, obviously. I know how, I'm aware. I know how the biking thing works.
Yeah, so you put it on a lower gear when you're going down the hill.
So like I did the first 10 miles, like 2 huge hills. And then, if I were to do those again, you go really, really, really hard on those first 10 miles because you get a break.
Because you're not going to be able to go full output on the downs.
Or any output for most of it. There are some times in the next 10 miles where you pedaled, but there were extended periods of no pedaling.
Technically, you probably need to do like, so I need to ask Patrick about that strategy because Riding Mountain has not crazy hills like that, but there's a few pretty steep hills. So I'm wondering so should I be hitting like let's say I want to average 280 Should I be going like 350 up those hills or what? Anyways.
How long? I guess it depends. How long is your break going to be after? Like there were many hills here that.
Well, there's not that many breaks
Yeah.
like you can pretty much pedal all
20
the
seconds,
time.
right? Might be
Yeah,
20
no,
seconds.
like I think even at Riding Mountain, like I think it's not steep enough that even the downhills I should still be pedaling a little bit anyways.
Yeah, so
I'm not sure.
So I winged it because I didn't really know, and even though I had driven it, but like you kind of go to the National Luge and Bobsled Center, which is kind of neat. You go to because that's where the pro.
That's where they practice.
And I know you got to run, so we'll pause here and you text me whenever you're good, then we'll reconvene for another episode. But you got to stay in the chat here. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
So this just stay in the chat. One. Sorry. Oh, go ahead.
No, and I'll send you another link. But this is part 1 of part 2, I guess. It's been a while since we've connected, so it's fun to connect. Part 1 of part 2. Stay tuned in. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. We'll see you in the next episode.